I pulled into the driveway a little after 6. The porch light was on. Claire hated coming home to a dark house, and I figured she'd be curled up on the couch by now, maybe halfway through a glass of that overpriced Cabernet she liked so much. I had the flowers in the passenger seat, tulips, her favorite, and a reservation at IL Posto for 8. I'd move heaven and earth to get back from Chicago early. I wanted to see her face when I walked in. I hit the clicker for the garage. Nothing. Dead silence. I tried again. Still nothing. That was weird. Claire always kept the door programmed. I killed the engine and got out, flowers in one hand, duffel bag in the other. I walked around the front, my boots crunching on the salt they put down for the ice, and rang the bell. No answer. I knocked, harder this time. Claire? Babe? It's me. I heard something. A laugh. Low. Male. Not mine. My stomach did a slow, ugly turn. I leaned in closer to the door, pressing my ear against the cold wood. There was again, and then her voice, light and breathy in a way I hadn't heard in months. Just a sec, she called out, not to me, but to someone behind the door. The peephole went dark, then the security panel lit up, and her face appeared on the small screen, illuminated by the blue glow of the camera. She looked different. Her hair was down, makeup done. She wasn't in her work clothes. She was in the silk robe I'd bought her for Christmas 2 years ago. David, she said, her voice flat, what are you doing here? I live here. Remember? I forced a smile, but it felt wrong on my face. Let me in. It's freezing. She didn't move, didn't buzz me in. She just looked at me through the lens, and I saw something in her eyes I couldn't place. Pity? Annoyance? You weren't supposed to be back until tomorrow, she said. Flight got in early. Surprise. I shifted the flowers. Come on. Claire, open the door. She sighed. A long, dramatic sound that made my jaw tighten. I think you should leave. The words didn't compute. I blinked. Leave? What the hell are you talking about? Us, she said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. It's over. I told you things weren't working. When? When did you tell me? You sent me a have a safe flight text this morning. That was me being nice. I didn't want to ruin your trip. She glanced over her shoulder, back into the house. Someone said something I couldn't quite catch, and she smiled, actually smiled, at someone else, while I was standing on my own fucking stoop. Who's in there with you? I asked, my voice low. That's none of your business. It is my business. That's my house, my furniture, my life. I stepped closer to the camera. Claire, don't do this. Don't make me stand out here like some kind of stray dog you're shooing away. Her expression hardened. Don't be dramatic, David. Just go to a hotel. We'll talk tomorrow. Or next week. Whenever. Talk? You locked me out of my own house and you want to schedule a talk. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Open the door. Now. No. The finality of it hit me like a slap. I stared at her face on the screen, looking for any sign of the woman I'd married. The woman who used to cry during dog food commercials and steal the covers and trace the lines on my palm when she couldn't sleep. But she was gone. This was someone else. Someone colder. Is it Nathan? I asked. The name tasted like poison. Her old high school flame. The one she swore was just a friend. Every time his name popped up on her phone, she didn't confirm it, didn't deny it. She just looked away again. And this time, the laugh from inside was louder, clearer, definitely Nathan. My grip tightened on the flower stems until I felt one snap. You gotta be kidding me. Go away. David, she said softly. Please, don't make this harder than it has to be. I stood there for a full minute, just breathing. The cold air was biting at my neck, but I couldn't feel it. All I could feel was the heat rising in my chest, spreading up my throat. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kick the door in, but I didn't. I wouldn't give them that show. Fine, I said, my voice steady in a way that surprised me. But you're making a mistake. Claire, a big one. I turned and walked back to the car. I didn't look back. I tossed the flowers onto the passenger seat, where they landed with a sad, crumpling sound. I sat there for a long time, staring at the garage door, listening to the tick of the cooling engine. My phone buzzed. A text from her. "I'm sorry. I really am. But this is for the best." I didn't reply. I just stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then I started the car and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't staying there. I ended up at a bar in Southie, the kind of place with sticky floors and a bartender who didn't ask questions. I ordered a whiskey, neat, and drank it in 3 swallows. Then another, and another. I kept seeing her face on that little screen, kept hearing that laugh, kept hearing Nathan's voice. Muffled, but there, in my house, in our bed, touching things that were supposed to be ours. Around midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. David Hale? A woman's voice. Professional. Distant. "Yeah, this is Margaret from First National Private Banking. I'm calling regarding an account alert. Are you in a position to speak?" I closed my eyes and rubbed my temples. "What account?" "The Hale Family Trust, the one established in 2014. We've noticed a significant withdrawal request initiated today. Given the recent changes to your marital status as per public records, we wanted to verify the transaction before processing." I frowned. "Withdrawal? I haven't touched that account in years." "According to our system, the request was made via your private portal credentials approximately 4 hours ago. The funds were transferred to an offshore holding account under your name only 4 hours ago, right around the time Claire was telling me to go to a hotel." I felt a slow, bitter smile spread across my face. She'd been busy, tried to clean me out while I was still reeling from the locks being changed. "Mr. Hale, are you there?" "Yeah," I said, my voice rough. "I'm here. Process it." "Sir, if this is unauthorized, we can freeze the assets immediately." "No," I cut her off. "Process it. And Margaret? Make sure it triggers an alert on the joint profile, the one my wife has access to." A pause on the line. "That will notify her immediately." "Sir." "Good," I said. Let her know exactly what just happened. I hung up before she could say anything else. I ordered another whiskey and stared at my reflection in the grimy mirror behind the bar. I looked like hell, but underneath the exhaustion, underneath the hurt, there was something else, something sharp and clear. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to plead. I wasn't going to spend another second trying to fix something she'd already burned to the ground. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Claire. I let it ring, and ring, and ring. Then it stopped. A second later, a text came through. "David, what did you do?" I didn't answer. I just finished my drink, left 100 on the bar, and walked out into the Boston night. The cold air hit me, sobering and sharp. I thought about the money, about the house, about Nathan's laugh. And then I thought about the look on her face when she realized I wasn't the one being locked out anymore. I was the one who'd walked away, and I wasn't looking back. The next few days blurred together. I checked into a suite at the Lenox, charged it to the corporate card Claire didn't know about. I didn't go near the house. I didn't answer her calls. She left voicemails, at first angry, then confused, then desperate. "David, please, just talk to me. I don't understand why you're doing this. Was this some kind of setup? Were you planning this? Nathan's gone. He was a mistake. Please, come home." Home. As if that word meant anything anymore. As if 4 walls and a mortgage could make up for what she'd done. I deleted the messages without replying. I spent my days walking the Freedom Trail, my hands deep in my coat pockets, my breath fogging in the air. I thought about the 10 years we'd been together. The fights, the makeups, the way she used to fall asleep with her head on my chest. Had it all been a lie? Or was this who she really was? And I'd just been too blind to see it? On the 3rd day, there was a knock on my hotel room door. I opened it, expecting housekeeping. Instead, it was Claire. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were red. Her hair was a mess. and she was clutching a manila envelope to her chest like a shield. "David," she breathed, "can I come in?" I didn't move. "How did you find me?" "Your sister." I beg her. "Please. 5 minutes." I stepped aside. She walked in, her perfume hitting me, the same one she'd worn on our wedding day. It used to make me happy. Now it just made my teeth ache. She sat on the edge of the bed, the envelope trembling in her hands. "What do you want?" "Claire." She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "I want you to stop. Please. The bank called. They said you cleared out everything. The trust, the investments, the liquid assets. We have nothing left. How could you do this?" "How could I?" I repeated, my voice dangerously quiet. "You locked me out of my own house. Claire, you brought your lover into my bed, and you think I'm one who crossed a line." "It wasn't like that," she sobbed. "It was a mistake. A terrible, stupid mistake. But this, emptying our accounts, that's cruel. Our accounts." I laughed, a short, harsh sound. "Claire, that money was mine. The trust was set up by my grandfather, with stipulations that it couldn't be touched without my explicit consent. You didn't even know half of what was in there, because I never wanted you to worry about it. And you tried to drain it the second my back was turned." "I didn't," she started, but I cut her off. "The bank told me. Claire, for hours after you locked me out, you tried to move the funds. You just didn't count on me already being 3 steps ahead. Did you?" She paled. The color drained from her face, so fast it looked like someone had flipped a switch. She opened her mouth, then closed it. No denial, no defense, just silence. "Get out." I said, "David, please, get out." She stood, shaking. She reached for me, her hand hovering near my arm. But I stepped back. The rejection in my eyes must have finally sunk in, because she crumpled. She dropped the envelope on the floor, turned, and walked out without another word. I didn't watch her go. I just stared at the envelope. After a long moment, I picked it up. Inside were photos of Nathan, of Claire, of them together, in my house, in my car, on my birthday. The dates on the digital stamps went back months, maybe longer. I threw the envelope across the room. It hit the wall, and the photos scattered like fallen leaves. I sank onto the bed, my head in my hands. The anger was still there, burning hot, but underneath it was something worse. Emptiness, a vast, echoing space where love used to be. My phone rang again. Nathan's number this time. I answered, just to hear his voice. "David," he said, smug even through the phone. "This is between me and Claire. Stay out of it." "Too late." I said softly. "You're already in it, Nathan, and you're about to realize exactly how deep." I hung up. I didn't block him. I wanted him to call again. I wanted him to keep talking. Every word out of his mouth was another nail in the coffin of whatever life they thought they were going to build on my broken heart. I walked to the window and looked out over the city. Boston was beautiful at night, all lights and history. I used to love showing it to Claire. Now, it just looked like a place I didn't recognize anymore. I thought about calling my lawyer, but I didn't. Not yet. This wasn't about legalities. This was about consequences, about letting them sit in that house, surrounded by the things I'd paid for, and realizing that none of it belonged to them, that I could take it all away with a single phone call. And I would, starting with the house, the cars, the life they thought they'd stolen. I poured myself a drink from the minibar and sat in the dark, listening to the city hum below. Somewhere out there, Claire was crying. Nathan was probably comforting her, playing the hero. Let them have their moment, because soon, very soon, that bank alert would hit, and when it did, their celebration would end, and I'd be there to watch it happen, not in person, not with a scene, but in the silence that followed, in the way Claire's eyes would go wide when she checked her balance, in the way Nathan's smugness would turn to panic when he realized the gravy train had dried up. I sipped my drink and smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a smile of a man who'd lost everything and found in that loss. A power he never knew he had. The power to walk away and never look back. I didn't sleep much after Claire left. I just sat in the dark, watching the blinking red light on the hotel phone, waiting for it to ring. It did. Around 3 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. Then again at 4 and 5. By 6, my inbox was full of her apologies, her excuses, her thinly veiled demands that I be reasonable. I deleted them all without listening. At 7, I ordered black coffee and scrolled through the news on my phone. Same shit, different day, except today. I wasn't reading it as a spectator. I was reading it as a man who had just burned his own life to the ground to keep someone else from profiting off the ashes. My burner phone, the one Claire didn't know existed, vibrated against the nightstand. A text from Julian Vance. We'd gone to Columbia together. He was the guy you called when you needed to know what someone was hiding, and you didn't care how he found out. Got eyes on the place. She's up. He's still there. Want the play-by-play? I typed back every word. I spent the morning in a booth at a diner on Newberry Street, nursing a second cup of coffee. The waitress, a tough-looking woman named Marie with a Boston accent thick enough to cut glass, kept refilling my mug without asking. She could tell I wasn't in the mood for small talk. Smart lady. My real phone buzzed. A text from Claire. David, please, we need to talk about the money. I'm scared. I stared at the words. Scared. She had no idea what scared was. Scared was coming home to find your key didn't work. Scared was hearing your wife laugh with another man while you stood in the freezing cold. I turned the phone face down and focused on Julian's updates. 8:15 a.m. She's in the kitchen, wearing his shirt, making coffee. 8:22 a.m. He comes in, kisses her neck. She leans into it. Disgusting. 8:30 a.m. She checks her phone, freezes, looks at him, says something I can't hear. 8:31 a.m. He grabs a phone, reads it. His face goes white. I felt a slow, cold smile spread across my face. There it was, the bank alert, the one ID told Margaret to send the second the transfer finalized. Account activity notification. Withdrawal of $1. $8 billion from Hale Family Trust. Funds transferred to private offshore account. Authorized by David Hale. I could picture it. Claire's perfectly manicured finger hovering over the screen. Nathan's smug grin vanishing like it had been wiped off with a rag. The silence in that kitchen. The kind of silence that comes right before a storm. My burner vibrated again. 8:33 a.m. She's screaming. Loud. Can't make out all of it. Something about everything and gone. 8:35 a.m. He throws the phone. It hits the fridge. She's crying now. He's pacing. 8:40 a.m. He gets in her face. Shouting. You said he was nothing. You said the money was ours. I took a sip of coffee. It had gone cold. Perfect. 8:45 a.m. She's begging to calm down. He shoves her. Not hard, but enough. She falls against the counter. 8:47 a.m. He storms out, gets in his car, peels out. I set the phone down. So Nathan's first instinct was to run, not to comfort her, not to figure it out, just to bail. Typical. Claire was learning fast what I'd known for a while. Nathan Miller wasn't a man who stayed when things got hard. He was a scavenger, and the carcass had been picking had just got up and walked away. I paid Marie, left a 20 on the table, and walked out into the crisp morning air. I didn't go far. I just walked until I found a bench overlooking the common. I sat there, watching the joggers and the nannies and the tourists, all of them living lives that didn't involve billion-dollar betrayals and locked doors. My real phone buzzed again. A call this time, from Claire's mother, Evelyn. I almost didn't answer, but I did. David? What in God's name is going on? Her voice was sharp, clipped, the voice of a woman who'd never been told no in her life. Morning. Evelyn. Don't morning me. Claire called me in hysterics. She says you've cleaned out your accounts. Is this true? It's true. David, that money is for your future. For her future. How could you be so selfish? I laugh. A short, dry sound. My future. Evelyn? Or hers and Nathan's future? because last I checked, Nathan Miller doesn't have a job, a dime to his name, or a moral compass. And Claire? She made her choice when she changed the locks. She was lonely. David, you were never home. You buried yourself in your work. I buried myself in work to pay for that house she's currently squatting in. I cut her off to pay for the car Nathan's probably driving right now, to pay for the life she thought she could steal out from under me. Don't you dare call me selfish. Silence on the line. Then, a softer tone. David, is there any way to fix this? She's my daughter. I just want her to be okay. She made her bed. Evelyn. Now she can lie in it. Alone. I hung up before she could respond. I sat there for another hour, watching the world go by. My burner stayed quiet. I imagined Claire sitting in that empty kitchen, surrounded by the ghosts of a life she had destroyed. I wondered if she was replaying every conversation we'd ever had, looking for the moment ID checked out. She wouldn't find it, because I hadn't, not until she had locked that door. Around noon, I got a text from Julian. She's leaving the house, headed downtown, alone, crying. Looks like hell. I stood up. It was time. I walked to the parking garage where ID left my car. Not the Audi Nathan was driving, but the old Jeep I kept for weekends. I drove slowly, keeping an eye out. I spotted her about 10 blocks from the house, walking aimlessly, her coat wrapped tight around her. She looked small, defeated. I pulled up beside her, rolled down the window. Need a ride? She stopped dead, her eyes widening. For a second, I thought she might actually faint. Then the tears started again, hot and fast. David, oh God, David, get in, I said, my voice flat. She hesitated, then climbed into the passenger seat, bringing a blast of cold air and the smell of her expensive perfume with her. She didn't say anything for a long time, just stared out the window, her shoulders shaking. Where are we going? She finally whispered. Nowhere. I said, just driving. I got the alert, she said, her voice breaking. The bank, it's all gone. Everything. How could you do that? You tell me. Claire, you're the one who decided our marriage was over. You're the one who invited him into our home. Did you really think I'd just sit back and fund your new life with him? It wasn't supposed to be like this, she sobbed. I thought we could split things. I thought you'd be fair. Fair? I laughed. You want to talk about fair? Fair would be me dragging you into court and showing the judge the photos of you and him. Fair would be me suing him for alienation of affection and wiping out whatever pathetic savings he has left. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to walk away. And I'm taking what's mine. David, please, I made a mistake. A horrible, stupid mistake. But I still love you. Stop, I said, my voice cutting through her lies like a knife. Don't you dare say that. You don't get to say that. You love the idea of me, the stability, the money, the life I built for you. But you didn't love me, because if you did, you never would have looked at him twice. You never would have laughed while I was standing outside in the cold. She dissolved into fresh tears. I didn't feel anything. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just a hollow sort of emptiness. I pulled over to the curb and put the car in park. Get out, David. Get out. She looked at me, her eyes red and swollen, her face streaked with mascara. She looked like a stranger. She reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. Finally, she opened the door and stumbled out onto the sidewalk. I watched her in the rearview mirror as I pulled away. She stood there for a long time, watching me go, until she was just a tiny speck in the distance. I drove to the airport and parked in Long Term. I didn't have a flight. I just sat there, in the silence of the Jeep, thinking about the last 10 years. The good, the bad, the lies. It all felt like a dream now. A nightmare I'd finally woken up from. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Probably Nathan. Try a new angle. I opened it. It was a photo of Claire sitting on the curb, looking utterly broken. The caption read, "She's yours. You win. Happy now?" I stared at the photo for a long time. Then I deleted it. I didn't win. There was no winning in this. There was just survival. And I was surviving. Barely. But I got out of the Jeep and started walking. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going back. Not to the house. Not to the life. Not to her. As I walked, I passed a group of guys laughing outside a bar. One of them bumped into me. Sorry, man, he slurred. It's fine, I said. He looked at me, really looked at me, and must have seen something in my eyes. Rough day? Something like that. He nodded, like he understood, like we were all just walking through our own private hells, one step at a time. Hang in there, brother. I kept walking, and for the first time since ID stood on my own doorstep and heard that lock click shut, I felt something other than anger. I felt free. It was a cold, lonely freedom, but it was mine, and I wasn't giving it up for anyone, not even for the ghost of the woman I used to love. I found a cheap motel off the highway, paid cash for a room, and slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, the first thing I did was check my burner. Julian had sent one last update. He's gone. Took the Audi. She's still in the house. Sitting in the dark. Alone. I read the words. Then deleted the message. I didn't need updates anymore. The story was over. The ending was written. All that was left was the silence. And in that silence, I finally heard myself think clearly for the first time in months. Evasente David Halle. The husband. Evasente David Halle. The victim. I was just David. And that was enough. For now, I woke up to the burner, vibrating against my chest. Julian, I almost didn't answer it. The last update had been enough. Her sitting in the dark. Him gone. But I swiped anyway. He's back. Julian said, no hello, just straight into it. And he's not alone. I sat up, swinging my legs over the side of the sagging motel bed. Who's with him? Two guys. Look like collectors. Big. One's got a neck tattoo peeking out from his collar. They're at the house now. I rub my eyes. Collectors? For the car. Maybe? Or something else. Miller's been living way above his means. David, that Audi isn't the only thing he's probably leasing under false pretenses. Your name might still be on some of that paper. My jaw tightened. She let them in? She didn't have a choice. He shoved past her. Now, they're in the living room. She's on the stairs. Crying. Again. I closed my eyes. I could hear it. The muffled voices. The fear in her tone. The arrogance in his. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I just felt tired. Patch me in, I said, on the audio. A click, then a burst of static. Then their voices. Clear as if I were standing in the room. Don't understand. Claire was saying, her voice high and thin. The money was supposed to be there. David wouldn't he wouldn't leave us with nothing. Us? One of the collectors sneered. Lady, there is no us. There's Mr. Miller here, who signed a lease agreement 3 months ago. And there's the outstanding balance of $48,000. And there's me, who's been told by my boss to collect, or repossess. He'll pay it, Nathan said, his voice shaky but trying for authoritative. Just give me a few days. I'm expecting a large deposit. Your accounts are frozen. Miller, the second collector, cut in. His voice was deeper, colder. We checked, both of them. The joint one and the one in your name. Nada. Zip. So unless you got a mattress stuffed with cash, you're coming with us to discuss alternative arrangements. You can't do that. Claire shrieked. This is our home. Your home? The first collector laughed. Lady, the deed on this place is in the name of a Hale Properties LLC. Ring any bells? We ran it when we saw the Audi in the drive. This ain't your house. Not according to the county clerk. Silence. Then Nathan's voice. Low and venomous. David did this. He set this up. He knew this would happen. Damn right I did. I muttered to myself. Claire's sobs turned into full-on wailing. Nathan, what have you done? What have Wed won? Everything's gone. The cars. The accounts. The house. Even the credit cards are maxed out. How could you let this happen? Let it happen? Nathan roared. I heard a thud. Like head kicked the coffee table. I didn't let anything happen. David's the one playing games. He's the one who... Mr. Miller, the deep voice collector interrupted. We're done talking. You're coming with us. Now. Wait, please, just a second. Nathan's panic was palpable. Claire, call your mother. Call someone. Get me a lawyer. I can't. Nathan, my mother won't answer. My friends won't answer. David's made sure everyone knows what happened. We're pariahs. Claire's voice was raw. And I have no money to pay a lawyer. Don't you get it? It's all gone. There was a scuffle, grunts, a curse from Nathan, then the sound of the front door opening, closing, a car engine starting, driving away, then just silence. I stayed on the line, listening to the silence, to the sound of Claire's ragged breathing, to the occasional creak of the old house settling. Our house, the one ID picked out, the one where we'd planned to grow old. She's moving, Julian whispered, walking through the rooms, touching things, the piano, the bookshelf. She's looking at the photos, the wedding photos. I hung up the burner. I didn't need to hear anymore. I knew what she was seeing. Memories, ghosts, the life she'd traded for a cheap thrill, and a man who couldn't even pay his own debts. I got dressed slowly. Jeans, a sweater, my boots. I looked at myself in the cracked mirror above the motel dresser. I looked like a man had been through a war. And I guess I had. A silent, brutal war fought with bank transfers and locked doors. I drove back toward the city. But I didn't go near the house. I went to a diner in Cambridge. One I used to go to with Julian in college. I ordered eggs and toast and sat in a corner booth, watching the Harvard kids laugh and talk about their futures. Their whole lives ahead of them. No betrayals. No halo victories. My real phone buzzed. A text from Claire. It was the 10th one today. They were getting shorter. More desperate. David, please. I'm alone. He's gone. They took him. I'm scared. I didn't reply. I just stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Scared. Good. Let her be scared. Let her feel a fraction of the fear ID felt standing outside in the cold, wondering what the hell had happened to my life. Another text came through, this one from an unknown number, probably Nathan, using a jail phone. You think you are smart? You think this is over? It'll tell her everything, about the accounts you hid, about the lies. She'll hurry to. I actually smiled, let him tell her, let him explain how had pressured her to drain the accounts. How had planned to leave her once the money hit. Let him destroy whatever was left of her trust. It wouldn't change anything. It wouldn't bring back the money. And it sure as hell wouldn't bring back me. I finished my coffee and stood up. The waitress gave me a nod. I dropped a 5 on the table and walked out. The air was sharp, biting. Winter was coming. Fitting. I got back in the Jeep and just drove. I ended up at the marina, down by the water. I sat there for an hour, watching the boats rock in the chop. My phone buzzed again. Claire again. David, I know you're listening. I know you can hear me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. For Nathan. For the locks. For the lies. I was stupid and blind, and I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. Please, just tell me you don't hate me. I read the message 3 times. Hate her? No. I didn't have the energy for hate. Hate implied passion, implied caring. I felt nothing, just a vast, empty space where Claire used to be. I typed back, for the first time in days, 3 words, I don't care. I hit send before I could overthink it, before I could let the ghost of who she used to be sway me. Then I blocked her number, blocked Nathan's, blocked Evelyn's. Everyone. I sat there for a while longer. The phone dark in my hand. The wind whipped off the water, stinging my cheeks. Somewhere across the city, Claire was reading those 3 words. Nathan was probably trying to figure out his next move from a holding cell. And me? I was just sitting in a Jeep, watching the waves, feeling the weight of a 1,000-pound anchor lift off my chest. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't relief. It was just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after the storm has passed. When you're left standing in the wreckage, realizing you're still alive. I started the engine. It was time to go. Not back to the motel. Not back to the city. Just go. I had the resources now. The freedom. The anonymity. I could be anyone. Anywhere. David Hale was dead. The husband. The victim. The fool. I pulled out of the marina parking lot and pointed the Jeep north. I didn't know where I was going. Montreal. Maybe. Or further. It didn't matter. All that mattered was the road ahead, and the fact that I was the one driving. As I crossed the state line, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Boston was a gray smear on the horizon, and for the first time in longer than I could remember, I didn't look back. Not once. The burner buzzed on the motel nightstand. I didn't check it right away. I was frying eggs in the kitchenette, the cheap non-stick pan smoking more than it should. The bacon was burnt. It didn't care. It'd been 4 days since ID left Boston. For days of silence. I figured they'd stay silent. I picked up the phone. Julian. He's out, Julian said. No preamble. Posted bail this morning. Some shyster from Chelsea took the case. Cash bond. I flipped the egg. The yolk broke. How? No idea. Not from any account we can track. Maybe a loan shark. Maybe family. But he's out, and he's pissed. Spent 20 minutes screaming at the clerk on the way out. Something about that smug son of a bitch and making him pay. I scraped the egg onto a paper plate. She's still in the house? Yeah, barely. Power's due to be cut off tomorrow. Water too. If the emails I intercepted mean anything. She's been calling every number in her phone. Her mother finally blocked her. Her sister in Philly changed her number. Even that yoga instructor she liked dropped her from the studio app. I chewed the rubbery egg. Anyone pick up? One person. Briefly. Some guy named Greg. Old college friend. I think. She cried for 10 minutes straight. Begged him to wire her $500 for a hotel. Know what he said? I washed the egg down with lukewarm tap water. Enlighten me. Claire, you made your bed with that two-bit grifter. Now you lie in the flea-infested sheets. Lose my number. Then he hung up. I actually laughed. It was a dry, rusty sound. Good for Greg. She's spiraling. David, I've got audio from the smart speaker in the living room. She doesn't know it's still active on your old ID. She's talking to herself, pacing, crying, threatening to call the police on Nathan for emotional distress. They'll love that. I muttered. 2 adulterers fighting over stolen money. Prime headline. Speaking of Nathan, he's on the move. Just left the courthouse. Headed toward the house. And he's not alone this time. 2 guys in a black SUV. Tinted windows. I put the plate down. Record everything. Already patched in. Click. Static. Then the sound of car door slamming. Heavy footsteps on the front porch. Then Nathan's voice. Loud and slurred. Open the fuck up. Claire, I know you're in there. Silence. Then her voice. Muffled. From inside. Go away. Nathan. I'm calling the cops. Calling. See if I care. You think they're going to help you? You're the one who lied on the loan application. You're the one who said the trust was community property. I got the papers right here. Your signature. Baby, real pretty. The door rattled. He was kicking it. Or trying to. The old frame held. But just barely. Nathan, please. Stop. I'm sorry. I didn't know head. Didn't know? He laughed. A nasty, jagged sound. You didn't know the golden goose could fly? You didn't know your precious David wasn't the pushover you thought he was? Bullshit. You knew. You just thought I was smarter than him. Admit it. I thought we were in love. She whispered. It sounded like a lie even to her. Love? One of the guys with Nathan snickered. Miller, you told her you loved her? That's rich. Shut up. Tony. Nathan snapped. Then, back to the door. Love don't pay the bills. Claire, and guess what? Your mommy's not answering my calls either. Seems like you burned every bridge in the state. So open the door. Or we start taking what's left. That TV looks new. So does that jewelry box on the dresser. You touch my things. Ill. You what? Nathan roared. Call David? Go ahead. Call him. Let him hear how his perfect little wife is begging the guy she cheated with not to steal her shit. Let him hear you cry. Maybe he'll feel sorry for you. Maybe he'll send a check. I heard a crash, glass shattering, head kicked in a side window. Then the sound of him climbing through. Claire's scream, high-pitched, terrified. Get out! Get out! I hate you! I hate you! Hate me? Nathan's voice was closer now. Inside, you didn't hate me when you were riding me in his bed. Claire, you didn't hate me when you were spending his money on my watches. Where's that necklace? Huh, the diamond one? You pawned it already? I sold it to pay the credit card. She sobbed. I had to. They were calling. They were threatening to. You sold it? He sounded incredulous. Then furious. You stupid bitch. That was worth 60 grand. And you pawned it for pocket change? Unbelievable. I heard a thud, not a punch, a shove. She gasped. Nathan, don't, please. Don't what? Don't touch the merchandise? It's not merchandise. Claire, it's mine. Or it was supposed to be. Everything was supposed to be mine. And you let him take it. You let him make a fool out of both of us. I didn't let him. He planned it. He knew. He must have known for weeks. Yeah, well, now I know too. And am not leaving empty-handed. The sound of drawers being yanked open, with splintering. Tony, Joey, start loading the electronics. And grab that art off the wall. The ugly abstract one. Bet it's worth something. No, stop. Those are mine. David bought those for me. David's not here. Sweetheart. And neither is his money. So as of now, finders keepers. I listened to it for another 5 minutes. The systematic looting of the life they'd built on a lie. The crashing. The sobbing. Nathan's vicious taunts. The cold efficiency of the two men. It was ugly. Petty. Exactly what it deserved to be. Then I hung up. I didn't need to hear the rest. I knew how it ended. With Nathan driving away in the SUV. The back loaded with what little valuables were left. And Claire sitting on the floor of an empty house. Surrounded by broken glass and shattered illusions. I sat there for a long time. The burner cool in my hand. I should have felt something. Triumph. Maybe. Satisfaction. But all I felt was a dull ache. Not for her. For what it had been. For the years I'd wasted on a woman who could be reduced to this. Cry on the floor while the man she had chosen over me stole her last possessions. My real phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Probably a new burner for Nathan. You hear that? You hear what she is? A worthless leech. Just like you. Hope you rot. He'll find you. I deleted it. Blocked the number. Then I opened my email and forwarded the audio file Julian had sent. The entire recording of Nathan breaking in, stealing, and berating Claire to the district attorney's office in Suffolk County. Anonymous tip. Attached was Nathan's current address and the license plate of the black SUV. Let them deal with him. Let him explain his alternative arrangements to a judge. I stood up and walked a window. The motel looked out over a strip mall parking lot. Gray sky, gray pavement. Gray lives being lived in the gray light of a New England afternoon. I thought about Claire. About the last time I'd seen her. Standing on the sidewalk, watching me drive away. I wondered if she was still there, in that house, in the dark, waiting for a ghost to come back and save her. He wouldn't, and neither would I. I packed my bag, checked out, left the key on the nightstand. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I didn't tell Julian where I was going. I just got in the Jeep and drove west, toward the Berkshires, toward the mountains, toward the quiet. Halfway there, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but I didn't. David? It was Claire. Her voice was a wreck. Raw. Hoarse. Please. I know you're there. I can hear your breathing. Please. He took everything. Everything. David. The TV. The computer. Even the silverware. He said it was all a game to you, that you wanted me to suffer. Is that true? Did you want this? I stayed silent. Let her hang on the silence. Let her hear the truth in the lack of a response. David, impregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. I gripped the steering wheel. My knuckles went white. Pregnant. With his kid? Or mine? The timeline was a blur. The betrayal had been going on for months, maybe longer. I'd never know for sure. And I didn't want to know. David, say something. Please. If it's yours, if there's any chance. I'll raise it alone. I'll sign whatever you want. Just don't let me do this alone. Not after everything. I closed my eyes. For a split second, I saw a future. A different one. A kid with her eyes. My name. A reason to go back. To try again. Then I saw Nathan's face. Heard his laugh. Remembered the locks clicking shut. Remembered her voice. Cold and final. It's over. I opened my eyes. The road was empty ahead. Just trees and asphalt and the promise of distance. David. I hung up, blocked the number, and then, with a hand that didn't shake, I powered off the phone entirely. I drove for 3 hours without stopping, without music, without thoughts, just the hum of the engine and the rhythm of the tires on the road. The further I got from Boston, the lighter the air felt, the quieter the world became. By the time I reached the foothills, the sun was setting, painting the mountains in shades of orange and purple. I pulled over at a scenic overlook, got out, leaned against the Jeep. Below me, the world stretched out, small towns, winding rivers, the distant glitter of a city that wasn't mine. And beyond that, more roads, more horizons, more silence. I took a deep breath. The air was cold and clean. It smelled like pine and snow. It smelled like freedom. I didn't think about Claire. I didn't think about Nathan. I didn't think about the money, or the house, or the lies. I just stood there, in the fading light, and listened to the wind. And for the first time in a very long time, I heard nothing but myself. I stayed in the Berkshires for 3 weeks. No phone, no internet, just a cabin I rented under a name that wasn't mine. Kyle Mercer, some poor bastard from Ohio whose identity Julian had dug up in a data breach years ago and kept in his back pocket for emergencies. Kyle had a clean record, a dormant 401k, and a social security number that worked just fine for a month-to-month lease on a drafty wooden box with a wood stove and a view of absolutely nothing. I chopped wood, read paperbacks I bought at a church sale, ate canned soup, slept 12 hours a night, and still woke up tired. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. It pressed down on you after a while, made you hear things, the creak of the floorboards, the wind in the chimney, the ghost of a voice you wish you could forget. One morning, I drove into Great Barrington to get more kerosene. The guy at the hardware store, Ray, flannel, beard, a gut that spoke to too many coffees, was watching a small TV behind the counter. Local news. Former Brookline resident Claire Hale was arrested late yesterday evening following a standoff with state police at her Park Avenue residence. Mrs. Hale is facing multiple charges, including attempted arson, destruction of property, and filing a false police report. Authorities allege Mrs. Hale deliberately set fire to the master bedroom in an attempt to claim insurance money, falsely stating to responding officers that her estranged husband, David Hale, had threatened her life. Mr. Hale could not be reached for comment. In related news, Nathan Miller, the man identified as Mrs. Hale's alleged accomplice, was sentenced this morning to 18 months in Suffolk County Jail after pleading guilty to felony larceny and violating the terms of his previous bail. Miller's attorney stated his client was deeply remorseful and had been taken advantage of by a manipulative partner. Ray muted it. Damn shame, he said, ringing up my kerosene. Rich folks. Always something going on. I nodded, paid in cash. Didn't say a word. On the drive back, I thought about the fire, about her setting it, about her blaming me. It fit. The final act of a woman had spent her whole life curating a version of reality where she was the victim, even when she was the one holding the match. Back at the cabin, I fed the wood stove and sat in the only chair that didn't have a broken spindle. I thought about calling Julian, asking for the details, but I didn't. I didn't want the details. I just wanted it to be over. 2 days later, a letter arrived at the general delivery address I'd given Ray. No return address. The postmark was Boston. I knew the handwriting. Claire's. Precise. Loopy. The same hand that used to leave me notes on the pillow. I didn't open it for an hour. I just stared at the envelope, watching the firelight dance on the cheap paper. Then I slit it open with my pocket knife. David, if you're reading this, you're alive. That's something. They say you vanished, that no one's seen you. I hope that's true. I hope you're somewhere warm, somewhere quiet. They're saying I tried to burn the house down. It's not true. Not exactly. I lit a candle. In the bedroom. Our bedroom. I was saying goodbye. I must have fallen asleep. The curtains caught. It wasn't much. Just smoke. But the neighbors saw, and they called, and then the police were there. And I panicked. I said your name, because I didn't know what else to say. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for all of it. Nathan told them everything. About the accounts. About the plan. About how I was the one who suggested moving the money first. He made it sound like I was a mastermind. Maybe I was. Maybe I wanted it so badly I convinced myself it was my idea. I don't know anymore. The pregnancy test was negative. I took 3. I guess that's a mercy. Or cruelty. I haven't decided which. I'm going to my mother's in Marblehead. She's agreed to post bail. But only if I go to rehab after. For the stress, she says. For the nervous breakdown. Everyone loves a good breakdown. Easier to explain than greed. I won't bother you again. I won't call. I won't write. I just wanted you to know I did love you. Once. Before I forgot how. Before I let it make me forget. I hope you can find a way to believe that. Goodbye. David. Claire. I read it twice. Then I folded it neatly and fed it to the wood stove. Watched the flames curl the edges. Turn the ink to ash. Swallow the lies and the half-truths and the one honest sentence. The one about forgetting how to love. That part, at least, I believed. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I just felt done, like a book you'd finished reading, and were putting back on the shelf. You remembered the plot, maybe a few good lines. But the characters didn't live in your head anymore. I spent the next week cleaning out the cabin, scrubbing the floors, wiping down the counters, leaving it better than I found it. On the last day, I drove into town and mailed a letter of my own to Julian, short and simple. Julian, thanks for everything. Burn the rest. All of it. The recordings, the files, the backups. Let it die. Tell Kyle Mercer thanks for the use of his name. It'll make sure his 401k gets a deposit to cover any inconvenience. I'm not coming back. Not to Boston. Not to the life. Tell anyone who asks that David Hale died in a boating accident off the coast of Maine. It's cleaner that way. Take care of yourself. D. I dropped in the mailbox and walked away without looking back. I drove west again, past the Berkshires, past Albany, into the Finger Lakes. I kept driving until the towns got smaller and the accents got thicker and the names on the mailboxes started to sound like Dutch settlers. I found a small town called Skaneateles, a lake that looked like glass, a main street with a barber, a diner, and a real estate office that hadn't been updated since the 70s. I walked into the office. A woman in a floral dress looked up from her crossword. Help you? Looking for a place. I said, small, quiet, cash sale. She squinted at me. You from around here? No. Ma, what brings you to Skaneateles? The quiet. I said. She studied me for a beat. Then she nodded, like she'd heard that before. I've got a cottage on the West Shore. Needs work. Owner's motivated. Cash would close it by Friday. Show me. It was perfect. A little stone place with a sagging porch and a view of the water, and a chimney that looked like it might actually draw. I paid cash. Counted it out on her desk. She didn't ask for ID, just counted it back, slid me the keys, and shook my hand. Welcome to the neighborhood, Mr. Caldwell. I said, it was my mother's maiden name. The only name ID ever liked better than my own. Mr. Caldwell. Pleasure. I moved in that afternoon, unloaded the Jeep, bought a used recliner from a yard sale down the road, a lamp, a set of dishes, a stack of crosswords from the diner. I didn't buy a TV, didn't set up internet. I bought a used Ford pickup with cash from a farmer who didn't care about titles. I got a library card under my new name. I started going to the diner every morning at 7, sat at the counter, ordered scrambled eggs and black coffee, talked to the cook about the weather, learned the names of the regulars: Bill, Margie, Old Man Herschel, who claimed had once caught a muskie the size of a Labrador. No one asked where I was from. No one asked what I did. They just nodded when I walked in, slid a menu my way, asked if I wanted the usual. One evening, about a month in, I was sitting on the porch, watching the sun set over the lake. The air was cool. The water was still. A loon called out, its voice lonely and pure. My neighbor, a retired cop named Frank, walked over with 2 beers, handed me one. "Quiet out here," he said, sitting on the rickety railing. "Yeah," I said. "You like it?" "I do." He took a long pull of his beer. "My wife left me 20 years ago. Took the kids. Took the house. I moved out here to fish and drink and feel sorry for myself. Took me 10 years to realize the quiet wasn't empty. It was full of everything I didn't have to be anymore." I looked at him, really looked at him, the lines on his face, the calm in his eyes. "She ever come back?" I asked. "Once, 5 years ago. Saw me at the diner. I bought her a coffee. She cried, apologized, said she missed the quiet. I told her the quiet missed her too, but I had learned to live without her. She didn't understand. Most people don't." He finished his beer, stood up. "Don't let the quiet scare you. Caldwell, let it save you." He walked back to his place. I stayed on the porch, finishing my beer. The stars were coming out, bright and sharp and indifferent. I thought about Claire, about Nathan, about the locks, the laughs, the bank alerts, the fire. I thought about the man ID bin, the one who'd rushed home with tulips and reservations, who'd believed in anniversaries and joint accounts and the word forever. I thought about the man ID become, the one who sat on a porch in upstate New York, drinking a beer with a neighbor, answering to a name that wasn't his, and feeling nothing but the cool air and the wave of silence that didn't ask for explanations. I didn't miss David Hale. I didn't mourn him. He was a ghost ID buried in a shallow grave in the Berkshires, and the ground was already starting to heal over. I finished the beer, set the bottle down on the step, listened to the loon one more time. Then I went inside, locked the door, a habit I'd never lose, and crawled into a bed that was mine, and mine alone. No dreams, no regrets, just the quiet. And in the quiet, I finally slept